This is the fight every biker argues about, but nobody can agree on: Harley Davidson or Honda. One promises American muscle and raw attitude. The other delivers bulletproof reliability and unmatched value. But which one actually wins when you break it down? Let's find out in today's video. Raw power versus refined performance. When it comes to motorcycles, nothing sparks a more heated debate than the clash between Harley Davidson's brute force and Honda's refined precision. This isn't about brands, it's about two completely different philosophies of what power should feel like on the open road. Harley Davidson's V-twin engines are infamous for their thunderous torque and aggressive acceleration. Their heavyweight cruisers, like the Harley Davidson Road King with its 1,748 cubic centimeters Milwaukee 8 engine, deliver a heart-pounding 107 pound-feet of torque and 89 horsepower. When you twist that throttle, the bike doesn't just move, it roars forward like a beast. Honda, on the other hand, approaches performance with surgical precision. Take the Honda Shadow Phantom, equipped with a 745 cubic centimeters liquid-cooled V-twin engine that produces 44 horsepower and 47 pound-feet of torque. It doesn't punch you in the chest. It glides forward smoothly, delivering power in a linear, predictable way that many riders find reassuring rather than overwhelming. When comparing ride stability at high speeds, Harley Davidson's heavyweight design keeps the bike planted, especially on long highway stretches. But that weight also makes the ride feel sluggish in tight corners or sudden lane changes. Honda's cruisers, being significantly lighter, offer better maneuverability and stability in urban environments or winding roads. But power isn't everything. Before we get into long-distance comfort, make sure you hit like and subscribe so you never miss the real story behind the ride. Ride comfort and long-distance capability. Speed is exhilarating, but what really matters on a motorcycle is how you feel after 100 miles. When it comes to ride comfort and long-distance capability, Harley Davidson and Honda deliver very different experiences. Harley Davidson cruisers are built for the long haul. Their large cushioned seats are designed for maximum comfort over extended periods. The handlebars are positioned in a relaxed upright stance, allowing riders to stretch their arms naturally without strain. Additionally, Harley Davidson bikes feature soft suspension systems that absorb road imperfections, ensuring a smoother ride even on bumpy highways. Honda's cruisers, while comfortable, lean toward a sportier ergonomics package. The Honda Shadow Aero, for example, has a lower seat height and slightly forward controls, which may appeal to shorter riders but can cause fatigue on longer rides. Its suspension is firmer, prioritizing handling over cushioned comfort. Noise, heat management, and vibration are also important factors. Harley Davidson bikes, particularly the air-cooled models, generate considerable heat and vibration, which can become uncomfortable after hours on the road. Honda's liquid-cooled engines run cooler and smoother, reducing rider fatigue. When it comes to ideal usage, Harley Davidson excels at cross-country cruising and weekend touring, where comfort matters most. Honda is better suited for daily commuting, short trips, and riders who prioritize agility over armchair-like comfort. But the difference in experience doesn't stop there, because what makes these bikes truly distinct is how they're built from the inside out. Engineering philosophy. At the heart of the Harley Davidson versus Honda debate is a fundamental difference in engineering philosophy. Harley Davidson represents old-school American steel, big, loud, and unapologetically mechanical. Honda stands for modern Japanese precision, efficient, reliable, and carefully engineered. Harley Davidson's design has barely changed in over 50 years. Their signature air-cooled V-twin engines are mechanical works of art, intentionally built with exposed components and minimal electronics. This simplicity appeals to purists who love wrenching on their bikes and feeling connected to every moving part. For many Harley riders, the mechanical rawness is the point. It's about hearing every click, feeling every vibration, and knowing the machine inside and out. Honda, by contrast, is all about innovation and refinement. Since entering the American market in the 1960s, Honda has pushed for efficiency, incorporating liquid cooling, electronic fuel injection, and advanced engine management systems. Their focus has always been on delivering reliable, easy-to-maintain motorcycles that use modern engineering to eliminate common mechanical headaches. You can ride a Honda for years without ever picking up a wrench, and for many riders, that's a major selling point. The air-cooled versus liquid-cooled debate is symbolic of this clash. Harley Davidson riders love the tradition and rawness of air-cooled engines, embracing the occasional mechanical quirk as part of the charm. Honda riders, on the other hand, appreciate the superior thermal management, smoother performance, and long-term durability of liquid cooling. In terms of long-term mechanical reliability, Honda's engineering precision consistently leads to fewer breakdowns, fewer headaches, and lower maintenance costs. Harley-Davidson's mechanical simplicity means repairs are often easier and more affordable, but also more frequent. But no matter how well engineered a motorcycle is, there's one factor that stirs more passion than any other: the sound. The sound and soul. The moment you start up a Harley-Davidson, you know exactly what you're riding. That deep, iconic V-twin rumble is more than noise. It's an American cultural symbol. The sound of a Harley-Davidson engine is so unique that the company famously tried to trademark it in the 1990s. Even non-riders recognize that low-frequency growl that shakes the pavement. Honda Cruisers, by contrast, are quiet, controlled, and efficient. Their V-twin engines produce a smooth, refined rumble that doesn't demand attention but delivers a reliable hum in the background. For some riders, this is a clear advantage. Less noise means a more peaceful ride and less fatigue after long hours. But for many, the Harley-Davidson sound is the soul of the bike. It creates a sensory experience that goes beyond performance specs and engineering charts. It's about the emotional connection between rider and machine. In recent years, however, legal noise limits and environmental regulations have restricted how loud motorcycles can be. Honda's quieter engineering naturally complies with these modern rules, while Harley-Davidson has had to make adjustments to retain their signature sound without breaking the law. Ultimately, sound is a performance indicator in its own right. It reflects each brand's priorities. Harley-Davidson's emphasis on character and tradition versus Honda's commitment to smooth efficiency. But which sound and soul fits your riding style best? Let us know in the comments below. Reliability and durability. When it comes to motorcycles, few questions matter more than this. Will your bike leave you stranded on the side of the road, or will it keep you riding for years without breaking a sweat? Between Harley-Davidson and Honda, the answer could not be more different. Real-world mechanical failure rates show a clear divide. Multiple studies and rider surveys over the past decade have consistently ranked Honda as one of the most reliable motorcycle brands in the world. In contrast, Harley-Davidson often finds itself at the bottom of those same lists. Honda Cruisers are built with precision-engineered components, benefiting from Japanese manufacturing standards that prioritize quality control and mechanical longevity. Harleys, on the other hand, are infamous for their quirks, mechanical failures, and unexpected breakdowns, often accepted as part of the Harley experience. The difference in reliability is also clear when you look at known issues and recalls. Over the past 20 years, Harley-Davidson has issued dozens of recalls affecting millions of bikes, covering everything from faulty brakes to oil leaks to electrical problems. Honda, while not perfect, has a much smaller record of recalls, most of them related to minor issues like fuel petcock failures or occasional electrical glitches. These issues rarely leave a rider stranded and are inexpensive to fix. That leads us to the next big factor: maintenance and running costs. It's not just the sticker price that matters when you're choosing between a Harley and a Honda. You've got to consider how much it will cost to maintain, fuel, and run that bike over the years. This is where many Harley enthusiasts start to feel the financial pinch. First, parts availability and cost. Harley-Davidson parts are notoriously expensive. Even basic components like brake pads, clutch cables, or gaskets will cost you significantly more than their Honda counterparts. On top of that, many Harley parts are proprietary, meaning you often have no choice but to buy from authorized dealers. Honda, on the other hand, has an abundance of affordable aftermarket parts, and you can often find what you need at your local auto parts store. Then there's DIY friendliness. Honda Cruisers are far easier for a home mechanic to work on. Their modern engineering, accessible components, and clear service manuals make routine maintenance tasks simple. Harley-Davidsons are notoriously difficult to work on without specialized tools and knowledge, especially the newer models with advanced electronics. Dealer network and service costs also tilt in Honda's favor. While Harley has an extensive dealership network, their labor rates are some of the highest in the industry. Honda dealers generally offer lower labor costs, and thanks thanks to the brand's reliability, most owners find themselves in the shop far less frequently. Finally, there are the unexpected expenses. Harleys, with their complex engines and unique engineering, are more prone to surprise mechanical failures, which can quickly add thousands of dollars to your running costs. Hondas rarely experience catastrophic failures, making them a safer financial bet. Now, even if you've kept your bike in pristine condition, there's one more question to ask. What's it worth when you're ready to sell? Let's break down resale value. Resale value and depreciation. When you decide to move on from your motorcycle, whether to upgrade or cash out, the resale value matters more than most riders realize. And when comparing Harley Davidson to Honda, this category is surprisingly nuanced. Harley Davidson bikes have historically held strong resale value. The brand's name alone commands a premium in the used market. Many Harley models depreciate far slower than their Japanese counterparts, especially limited edition models or those with customization. There is a collector appeal to Harley Davidson. Owning one is like owning a piece of Americana, and buyers are willing to pay extra for that image. However, this only applies to well-maintained bikes. Harleys with high mileage, neglected maintenance, or accident history can lose value rapidly. And in recent years, younger buyers have shown less interest in Harleys, leading to weaker resale values compared to the past. Honda Cruisers, by contrast, typically depreciate faster in the first few years. They don't have the same brand prestige or collector cachet as Harleys. But here's the twist. Because Hondas are so reliable, they retain functional value. A used Honda Cruiser in good condition can still command strong prices, especially among first-time riders or budget-conscious buyers. Unlike Harley, the resale market for Honda isn't driven by image. It's driven by practicality. In short, if you want to flip your bike after 2 years, Harley might be the safer bet. But if you're looking for a long-term ride that keeps most of its value, Honda's reliability keeps it competitive. And now, let's talk about something most people forget until it hits their wallet at the gas station: fuel economy. Who burns less gas? In real-world fuel consumption, Honda consistently beats Harley Davidson. On average, Honda Cruisers deliver between 45 and 55 miles per gallon, depending on the model, engine size, and riding conditions. Harley Davidson Cruisers, with their larger engines, heavier frames, and less fuel-efficient air-cooled designs, typically range between 35 and 45 miles per gallon. That may not sound like a huge gap, but over the course of a year, especially for riders who clock serious mileage, that difference adds up to hundreds of dollars in fuel savings. Money that stays in your pocket instead of evaporating at the gas station. The range per tank is also noticeably different and often overlooked. Many Honda Cruisers feature fuel tanks designed for maximum efficiency, often stretching over 200 miles on a single fill-up. Harley Davidson bikes, particularly the big twins like the Road King or Heritage Classic, usually require refueling after around 150 to 180 miles, depending on riding habits and load. Over a long road trip or daily commute, that difference means fewer stops, more convenience, and less money spent at the pump month after month. For commuters, weekend riders, and long-distance tourers, this can make a significant impact on annual expenses, not to mention the simple convenience of not having to hunt for a gas station every few hours. Lastly, there's the environmental factor. Honda's modern liquid-cooled, fuel-efficient engines produce fewer emissions than the older air-cooled designs favored by Harley Davidson. For riders who care about their carbon footprint, this is an important consideration, especially as emission regulations continue to tighten around the world. But fuel economy is only part of the equation, because once you factor in long-term reliability, maintenance costs, and resale value, the gap between these two brands becomes even more interesting. Now that we've talked about ownership costs, reliability, and efficiency, it's time to dive into the heart of what makes these brands so different: the culture, the history, and the community that comes with each one. Brotherhood versus practicality. You are not buying a motorcycle. You are buying a lifestyle, a tribe, and an entire way of life. And nowhere is that divide sharper than between Harley Davidson and Honda riders. On one hand, you have Harley's famous Brotherhood culture, a tight-knit, club-driven world where the brand is more than transportation. It is a lifestyle. Harley riders often associate themselves with an exclusive, rugged American image where the patches on their leather jackets mean as much as the bike itself. This culture is steeped in decades of tradition, rallies like Sturgis, and a sense of belonging that stretches across states and even borders. On the other side, Honda riders generally live in a far more casual, open, and beginner-friendly space. Honda's rider base is diverse. ranging from young riders buying their first cruiser to seasoned commuters who simply want a reliable bike without the lifestyle baggage. There is less club culture and fewer unwritten rules. It is the bike you ride to work, to the grocery store, or on a weekend cruise without necessarily being part of an insider group. Public perception follows these cultural lines closely. Harley riders are seen as rebels, road warriors, and old-school tough guys, whether that image is earned or just marketing myth. Honda riders, by contrast, are often viewed as practical, level-headed, and budget-conscious individuals who love to ride but do not need to wear the uniform. But beyond image and perception, there is also pressure. Buying a Harley often means stepping into expectations. The meetups, the image, the attitude. Honda frees you from that weight. So when you swing your leg over that saddle, you are not just choosing a motorcycle, you are choosing a tribe. Do you want the all-American Brotherhood, or do you want the freedom to ride without the pressure of fitting into a scene? But the division between Harley and Honda is not just about today's riders. It runs much deeper, back through the decades of history that shaped both brands. Heritage and history. Whenever you see a Harley Davidson badge, you are looking at more than 120 years of American history. The Milwaukee-based brand is older than almost every major automaker in the world and has defined American motorcycle culture since the early 20th century. For many, Harley is not just a motorcycle, it is America on two wheels. The company's iconic V-twin engine, its unmistakable sound, and the larger-than-life image of the Harley rider all trace back to a century of cultural dominance. But the story does not end there. Enter Honda, the Japanese challenger that changed everything. In the 1960s and 1970s, Honda burst onto the American scene, first by crushing it on racetracks and then by reshaping the cruiser market. Honda offered something Harley never did: affordable, reliable motorcycles that could be ridden by anyone. It was the beginning of a seismic shift. Harley's high-priced, oil-leaking behemoths suddenly faced competition from bikes that were cheaper, faster, and more accessible. The competition reached a boiling point in the 1980s with what would come to be known as the Tariff War. Harley, reeling from declining sales and an onslaught of Japanese imports, petitioned the Reagan administration to impose tariffs on motorcycles over 750 cubic centimeters. The tariffs were implemented, forcing Honda to retool and produce tariff-buster bikes that complied with American laws without sacrificing quality. That era defined the rivalry. Harley dug in its heels as the American original, while Honda proved its ability to adapt, innovate, and thrive. Today, those decades of struggle, adaptation, and growth are baked into each brand's DNA. But the battle between Harley and Honda did not stop at history. It spilled over into the garages and workshops of riders everywhere. Customization potential. No brand owns the custom motorcycle scene quite like Harley Davidson. The American brand is the ultimate blank canvas for customization. From the 1960s onward, Harley's big twin engines and rigid frames became the foundation of the chopper revolution. No other brand has inspired more custom shops, aftermarket parts suppliers, or backyard builders than Harley Davidson. Want ape hangers, fishtail pipes, or a stretched front end? There are literally thousands of companies ready to sell you the parts. Honda, however, has always offered a different kind of customization playground. The Japanese cruisers, particularly the Shadows and Rebels, have become a favorite for first-time builders. Why? Because Honda parts are far cheaper and often more reliable, making it easier for new riders to chop, bob, and modify without fear of breaking the bank. The platforms are simpler, lighter, and less expensive to experiment on, even if the aftermarket support is not as vast. Affordability plays a major role here. Customizing a Harley is an expensive hobby. Every chrome piece, every custom tank, every new seat adds up quickly. Honda riders can build a cool, unique bike for a fraction of the cost, and the mechanical simplicity makes the process far less intimidating. But there is no denying the culture gap. A fully customized Harley will always carry a certain weight, a street cred baked into American biker lore. Honda Customs, on the other hand, are typically seen as practical and personal rather than iconic. And while you can always modify your bike, there is something you can't change: the way the world sees you when you ride it. Public image and brand perception. Ask any non-rider to picture a biker, and odds are they will imagine a Harley Davidson rider. Leather jacket, sunglasses, maybe even tattoos. That is the image baked into American pop culture. Movies, TV shows, and advertising have long cemented Harley's image as the ultimate rebel machine. Owning a Harley says something loud and clear, even before you twist the throttle. You want to be noticed. Honda, by contrast, has built its image on practicality, accessibility, and approachability. Honda riders are not part of a loud, brash subculture. They are seen as riders who simply want a reliable, affordable, enjoyable motorcycle. There is no secret handshake or unwritten code. You ride a Honda because you want to ride, not because you want to make a statement. Mainstream stereotypes have grown around these perceptions. Harley riders are often portrayed as rough, intimidating, and rebellious. Honda riders are seen as practical, budget-conscious, or even beginners. The media and motorcycle community reinforce these stereotypes in everything from advertising to social media. But here is the truth. Neither brand owns the moral high ground. Harley's image can be a burden as much as a badge of honor. Honda's reputation for practicality can sometimes overshadow the quality, performance, and community that the brand quietly cultivates. Ultimately, your choice sends a message. Do you want to walk into a gas station and have everyone glance at your bike, knowing exactly who you are and what you ride? Or do you want to blend in, ride under the radar, and keep the experience personal and uncomplicated? But beyond all these, there is still one question left to answer. Which bike is actually better for your wallet, your ride, and your life? The budget rider's choice. When it comes to buying a motorcycle, the first question most riders ask themselves is simple. How much is this going to cost me? On the surface, both Harley Davidson and Honda cruisers offer attractive options, but once you break down the total cost of ownership, the differences start to stack up fast. Let's start with the upfront price. Honda motorcycles, especially their cruiser line, tend to be significantly more affordable right off the showroom floor. You can typically grab a brand new Honda Shadow or Rebel for under $8,000. Harley Davidson, on the other hand, often starts in the $10,000 range, and that is just for entry-level Sportster models. Once you start looking at Softails, Dynas, or touring bikes, the price can jump well beyond $15,000. But the difference doesn't stop at the initial purchase. Insurance rates on Harleys are almost always higher, driven by their larger engines, higher theft risk, and the fact that they are generally considered premium products. Taxes and registration fees also scale upward with the price and size of the bike, meaning the Harley costs more before you even ride it off the lot. And then there is depreciation. Honda bikes tend to hold their value better in the used market because they appeal to practical riders looking for dependable transportation. Harleys, while iconic, often suffer sharp depreciation in the first few years, especially if heavily customized or poorly maintained. So if your priority is saving money, both today and 5 years from now, the math points clearly in Honda's favor. But now we have reached the moment of truth. After breaking down every category, it is time to answer the big question. Who should you choose? After everything we have talked about, performance, comfort, cost, reliability, culture, and daily use, one thing is clear. There is no one-size-fits-all answer. It all comes down to what kind of rider you are. If you want raw power, a commanding presence, and to be part of an iconic American legacy, Harley Davidson is your bike. The torque, the sound, the size, they all add up to an unforgettable riding experience that no other brand can replicate. But be prepared to pay for that experience, both upfront and over time. Harley is a lifestyle, not just transportation. If you value reliability, affordability, and practicality, Honda wins hands down. Hondas may not have the swagger of a Harley, but they deliver a smoother, cheaper, and easier ride that fits seamlessly into everyday life. For new riders, budget-conscious bikers, or those who want a machine that simply works without drama, Honda is the obvious choice. It is a bike built for real-world riders who care more about getting on the road than polishing chrome. So which one is truly the best? That is not for me to decide, it is for you. Are you chasing power or practicality? Do you want a bike that turns heads or one that gets you where you need to go without a second thought? And here is the cliffhanger. In a world where rising bike prices, maintenance costs, and reliability matter more than ever, is the classic Harley Davidson dream still worth chasing? Or has Honda quietly become the smarter, better choice for the modern rider? Let us know in the comments, because this battle is far from over. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more brutally honest motorcycle comparisons.